For 12 consecutive years starting from 2009, China has held the position of being ASEAN's largest trading partner. The trade between China and ASEAN has seen a remarkable surge, increasing by over 80 times since they established their dialogue relations in 1991. It has grown from $8.36 billion in 1991 to $685.28 billion in 2020, with an average annual growth rate of 16.5%. Remarkably, in 2020, ASEAN surpassed the US to become China's largest trading partner. Europe and America used to be China's biggest trading partners, but today, it is ASEAN. And among the ASEAN countries, Vietnam, Malaysia, Thailand, Singapore, Indonesia, and the Philippines have been the major contributors to this trade, accounting for 94.8% of ASEAN's total trade with China in 2020. In recent years, China and the ASEAN countries have experienced rapid growth in their friendly relations and cooperation. China has a rich history of connections with Southeast Asian nations. After the Cold War, its relationship with ASEAN began anew. China was welcomed to the 1991 ASEAN Summit in Kuala Lumpur and later became ASEAN's full dialogue partner in 1996. In a surprising geopolitical shift, ASEAN has embraced China as a strategic partner, raising eyebrows across the globe. This decision marks a significant departure from the traditional alliance the region had with the United States. The reasons behind ASEAN's choice may astound you, as they highlight both China's growing economic prowess and the United States' careless role in pushing its allies toward the East. What China did to build relationships with ASEAN countries. In October 2013, Chinese President Xi Jinping proposed the idea of creating the 21st Century Maritime Silk Road during his official visit to Indonesia. This maritime route was part of the Belt and Road Initiative, BRI, and President Xi emphasized the need for close cooperation between China and ASEAN countries. The ASEAN nations responded positively to Beijing's proposal and became early supporters of the BRI. Since the inception of BRI, Chinese foreign direct investment in ASEAN countries has risen by 85%, and construction projects have increased by 33%. Among the ASEAN countries, Indonesia, Malaysia, the Philippines, and Vietnam have been the primary recipients of Chinese foreign direct investments. The BRI is an ambitious infrastructure project aimed at connecting Asia with Europe and Africa through a network of roads, railways, ports, and other facilities. Several ASEAN countries, including Indonesia, Malaysia, and Thailand, have signed agreements with China to participate in the BRI, providing them with access to much-needed infrastructure development and trade opportunities. For example, within its first 100 days of operation, the China-Laos Railway, which commenced cross-border passenger services in April this year, successfully transported 41,735 passengers from 49 countries and regions. Notably, the number of inbound passengers exceeded outbound passengers by 12.2%, reaching 22,066, with 54% of them being tourists. The China-Laos rail network will significantly enhance the country's appeal to investors, generate new job opportunities, and expedite its post-pandemic economic rebound. The World Bank predicts that this new railway line could potentially boost Laos' aggregate income by up to 21% in the long run. Another key project is the Jakarta-Bandung high-speed rail network. It is the first high-speed rail line in Southeast Asia, with a length of 142.3 kilometers, connecting two of Indonesia's largest cities. The project is projected to create 40,000 jobs annually during its construction phase, which will have a positive economic impact. Additionally, various associated industries, including smelting, manufacturing, infrastructure, power generation, electronics, services, and logistics, will also receive a boost, leading to balanced growth across all sectors. The construction of stations and the surrounding areas will see increased activity and development, providing new opportunities for the real estate sector. Furthermore, both urban and rural areas along the route will experience balanced development. The Jakarta-Bandung rail network is just the first phase of the entire project. The Indonesian government has a plan to extend the high-speed rail line from Jakarta to Surabaya. China has also skillfully employed soft power to woo ASEAN nations. Through cultural exchanges, educational initiatives, and people-to-people diplomacy, China has sought to foster a positive image and strengthen ties with the region. Chinese investments in media and cultural projects have enhanced its soft power appeal, presenting an alternative narrative to Western influence. Furthermore, China's handling of the pandemic, with the quick recovery of its economy and the provision of medical aid to ASEAN countries, bolstered its reputation as a reliable partner during times of crisis. According to the World Health Organization, China provided more than 600 million doses of vaccines to ASEAN countries, contributing significantly to their vaccination efforts. China's economic rise over the past few decades has been nothing short of extraordinary. As the world's second-largest economy, it has become a key trading partner for many countries, including several ASEAN members. And last year, in 2022, the total trade between China and ASEAN was $970 billion, a 15% increase due to the Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership, or RCEP Free Trade Agreement. China's role as the world's factory has led many multinational companies to establish manufacturing operations in the country. ASEAN countries have become essential partners in these global supply chains, providing intermediate goods and components to Chinese factories and benefiting from investment and technology transfers in the process. Besides that, China is a significant source of tourists for many ASEAN countries. The proximity, ease of travel, and cultural exchange between China and ASEAN have led to a significant flow of tourists, further strengthening economic ties. After it reopens its border, Southeast Asian countries like Thailand, Singapore, Vietnam, and Malaysia are expecting to receive influx of Chinese tourists. Chinese outbound tourism to Singapore is expected to recover the fastest to 2019 levels, which is before the pandemic. And Thailand is the top ASEAN destination of choice for Chinese tourists. The U.S. miscalculations and weakening influence in ASEAN. While China's economic allure is a major factor, the United States has unwittingly played a role in ASEAN's pivot. In recent years, the U.S. has shown signs of shifting priorities in the region, leading to perceptions of neglect and wavering commitment among ASEAN member states. The U.S.-China trade war, initiated by former President Donald Trump in 2018, had significant ripple effects on the global economy. ASEAN nations, heavily reliant on international trade, were caught in the crossfire. The imposition of tariffs on Chinese goods and retaliatory measures from China disrupted supply chains and created economic uncertainties in the region. According to a report, ASEAN countries faced an estimated 2.5% decline in exports due to the trade war. Take a look at this illustration and you will see how China has become an important trade partner for the ASEAN countries. The investment and trade values from China far exceed the U.S. And recently, the U.S. announced it will have export control on semiconductors to China, which has raised concerns among the ASEAN countries. For instance, Singapore's Prime Minister, Lee Hsien Loong, said the Biden administration may lead to less interdependency, less trust, and possibly ultimately a less stable world. Besides that, from a regional security point of view, the U.S. has historically played a key security role in Southeast Asia, but its focus on other global issues, such as the Middle East and Europe, raised questions about its commitment to the region. China, on the other hand, presented a more localized approach, emphasizing regional stability and cooperation. This played into ASEAN's desire for security assurances and stability in their immediate vicinity. Apart from economic and regional security, climate change and environmental concerns also play a vital role between China, the U.S., and the ASEAN relationship. As climate change emerged as a pressing global issue, the U.S. under certain administrations seemed to downplay its significance, while China took more assertive steps in addressing environmental challenges. This stance resonated with ASEAN countries facing environmental threats, such as rising sea levels and extreme weather events. According to the World Bank, Southeast Asia is particularly vulnerable to climate change, with an estimated 11 million people at risk of coastal flooding by 2030. The U.S. and China are engaged in a competition for influence in Southeast Asia, a region with over 660 million people and the world's fifth-largest economy. However, in terms of economics and trade, the U.S. finds itself falling behind. China has strategically fostered substantial economic ties with ASEAN, a region located at its doorstep and encompassing critical trade routes. As a result, China has surpassed Washington's economic dominance in the area, solidifying its position as a significant player in Southeast Asian economies. The United States, being far from Southeast Asia, is mainly interested in ASEAN for geopolitical reasons, making their relations more transactional. On the other hand, China sees ASEAN countries as immediate neighbors, leading to a comprehensive and long-term interest in Southeast Asia. ASEAN's decision to cozy up to China was not solely a result of China's growing economic prowess, but also the consequence of the United States' missteps in changing regional priorities. As China's influence continues to grow, it poses new challenges for the US, which must reconsider its approach to Southeast Asia and reinforce its commitment to the region. In this dynamic geopolitical landscape, only time will tell how the ASEAN-China relationship will evolve and impact the global balance of power. So, do you think the US will do something to stop China from asserting its influence in the Southeast Asian region? Share your thoughts and leave your comments below. If you like this video, hit the like button to show your support. More importantly, subscribe to this channel so that you will receive more interesting videos about the happening in Asia.